the main goal for today is to get this covered with the bed liner. If I can get that done today, which I'm almost ready to do, then I will be very happy with that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give it one final pressure wash, and then I'm going to go over it with the acetone, and then I'm going to tape off a few areas. This is 2 coats. I am going to let this sit overnight. Hopefully not too many bugs get stuck in it. I already picked out one, but whatever, not a big deal. I'm gonna put a 3rd coat on in a few places, probably mostly like right here. You can't see it right now. The wire harness that connects to the seats ordinarily would run across the back here, and there's, you know, before there was like a carpet with a padding that this wire ran underneath. But since I'm going to have this open and there's nothing really to protect it, I'm going to run the wire up over the top. Today I am going to replace fluids. Oil's been changed, oil and filter. Now I'm going to do the transmission, and I don't know what the history of this transmission is. Interestingly enough, there is a date on the transmission bell housing here with the name of Jack, 9216. So that was 5 years ago. I'm going to assume that the transmission was replaced at some point in time, but I don't know what has been done to it since I bought the vehicle. I bought the vehicle about, well, it's been a little over 3 years now. I just want to know I have a fresh start with filter and fluid. Let's get started. All right, well, that was a lot more messy than I thought it was going to be. Lessons that I've learned today. I wouldn't do, I mean, I'm still debating whether this was worth my time and effort to do this myself. I think it was. It's easy. It's very, very messy. However, I should have thought it through a little more. And the reason why I say that is most people who do this transmission fluid change, what they do is they just loosen these bolts and let it drain out. You saw that under there, and it just created a mess. I don't have a pan big enough, you know, like a big catch area to do that properly. So I was trying just to have like it come out of one corner, like over here, and I was just going so slowly, and it just would have been a disaster. So what I ended up doing, I just disconnected it here and pulled it out of the socket down there. I don't know if you can see it, but that's the transmission pan right there. So I just pulled that out, and then I got one of those, I have one of these really cheap fluid extractors, you know, just this hose with this little pump here. And I just literally put the hose down into where the filler is, which is right in this area, and I just sucked it all out. I actually was looking at one of those fluid extractors, the ones you hook up to shop air, and it creates a venturi, and you know, you can use it for brakes and a bunch of other things. I would definitely use that in the future if I had it. I would not do it this way. This was way too messy. I probably spilled another, I don't know, it looked like another quart. Well, maybe not a quart, probably a pint on the ground over there. I've got a bunch of pig mat under there. Yeah, pig mat to the rescue. Good stuff. There's no big chunks of metal, just this stuff right here along this magnet. But it's all very fine. There's a few little pieces here and there, but nothing, no huge chunks, which is really, really good. I mean, there's a few somewhat sizable chunks, but this is all just kind of paste, which is really all you'd ever want to see in here. So I don't see any, just kind of moving stuff around, see if it picks up something on this magnet. But yeah, this is all just fine ground metal, which you would expect to see. That's why they put that magnet there. So I'm pretty satisfied with the way that this looks. So I'm going to continue. I'm just going to clean this out. And also there's no weird grime in the bottom of this, so that's really good. I'm pretty okay with the way this all looks. All right, so I'm going to clean this up, get it back under the vehicle. So we'll continue. Hey, so I made some pretty good strides yesterday getting this stuff done. I didn't show putting it back on. I mean, you know, you saw me take it off. Putting it back on is the reverse. I did change out the IAC valve. That's the one thing I didn't show. And then I put the doghouse back on, so that's all buttoned up and ready to go. If you remember when I first turned on the engine, it was like a humming noise coming from there. So right back here, there's a hose that connects to this air intake, and it goes to the back of the engine and connects to the idle air control valve. And it's this guy right here. This is right on the back of the throttle body. And you can't see in there, but I can tell you it is really gunked up in there. So this is what caused that hum. It's got a nice shiny new one now, and the humming's gone, so that's great. So if you ever run into that issue with these vans, that's probably what it is. But I was super happy to get this back in place. I'm officially done with all the engine work. Everything's running great. So if you'll remember when I first turned this engine on after I had it all apart, one of the things that I noticed, and I did point it out, was that the airbag warning was on. When I came up here and I had the engine on, I was trying to test the horn. And I noticed that the horn was not working. It's not working now, obviously, but I don't have the battery connected at the moment. And so that kind of led me to believe that maybe I actually have a clock spring that's gone bad. I'm actually going to plug in my little Bluetooth ODB2 reader just so I can see exactly what the codes are getting thrown here. Okay, I found the issue. I disconnected the battery, waited about 5 minutes, removed the airbag, and then reconnected the battery and shorted these pins, and I didn't get anything. I purchased this cruise control module on eBay because I broke the other one. It seemed like it was in good condition, so I immediately suspected that whatever I bought was the problem. So I traced these wires back to where they plug into the wiring is right here for the coil spring. This blue wire and green wire right here, this is the same thing as what's right here. Traced it back to here, pulled this connection out, but when I went to go pull it, and even now I can see that these pins are coming out. So these pins were just not seated all the way in to this connector right here. And I may have to address this in the future, but we'll see what happens. I may come in here and redo these pins on that connector. Anyway, so I pulled the connector off, shorted the pins for these two, and the horn sounded. So that means the clock spring is good, and it was just this connector. So I kind of reseated all these pins and then tested it again from here, and it worked. And then the other thing I did is I connected my multimeter to this connector, which is the horn that's on the front of the airbag, just to listen for continuity when I push the button on the front. So there you go. So tonight, I think we are going to do the differential fluid. I really just felt like I should do that. Pull the cover off, change the fluid, inspect the gears. I noticed a little while back when I was driving it that it seems like it could be noisy. So I just want to inspect it to make sure there's nothing totally wrong with it, though that could totally open a can of worms, but I'd rather figure that out now than while I'm hauling something down the road. Hello. So I finally got this thing off, and I just wanted to look at these gears in here. I'm not going to really turn them around. I can see in there pretty well. And the main thing I wanted to look at was this wear pattern on this gear here. There you can see it, and you can see that sort of arch along the tooth. It goes all the way to the end, to the tip, and then there's a shiny bit right in here, and it's pretty much right in the middle of the tooth where it should be. So the alignment and all this looks good. You can really see them there. I think this looks pretty good, so I'm not worried about it at all. I'm looking back there at the pinion gear. Looks to be in good shape. Nothing in here looks abnormal at all. In fact, I would say it looks in very good shape. Yeah. Obviously, I'm not seeing the whole thing. I also did not see any large chips. Last time we were rudely interrupted by a dying battery, so actually a lot of things have happened since then. So I was showing you the gears and the differential, and that I was pretty satisfied with the wear pattern, and I didn't see any chunks of metal in the differential fluids. So yeah, I think it's in good shape. No worries there. Fluid was changed. I put the cover back on, filled it back up. Since then, not much else has happened actually. I have taken the seats apart. Here are the seat back cushions, which I've actually cleaned them. They're still yellow and stuff. You can't really get rid of that. Right now they're a little bit damp right now, so I'm just kind of letting them dry out here on this desk. But they are much cleaner than they were. This was one of the main things that I really wanted to clean, because if you've ever gotten into a car that smells funky and you clean it and you clean it and you can't get the smell to go away, one of the primary places that smell goes is into seat cushions, right? So if you can clean the foam, you can get rid of a lot of the smell. But another place that smells accumulate is in this stuff, right? Like on the backs, this is the door piece where the handle is, right? This is where you would open the door right here. But on the back side of this, there's a lot of like grime and oil and stuff like that accumulates over time. And that stuff smells, all throughout the inside. On the dash, when I took all of that stuff apart, all of that inside, underneath all these parts is where all of that smell is. The floor padding in there that I took out, that's where all these smells happen. Air vents, things like that. So I wanted to I can't stand that smell. It's just awful to me. It was like combination of old car smell and like really cheap, just gross air freshener, like gas station. Not even like a traditional smell. It was just like bubble gum, weird, said like nauseating. You get in the truck and it's just like, ugh. That's why I'm doing it, primarily to get rid of the smells. If I didn't care about the smell, there's no way I would have torn apart as much as I have. That box right there, the one that says Duro foam from the seat shop. These are the new seat covers. The other ones are just in the garbage. They were totally trashed. I'm really glad I got new ones. Here's I already wrapped the armrests. It's actually, I went ahead and went with leather because it wasn't really that much more expensive. So I just went for it, and I'm glad I did. These seat covers are super nice, and they look like they're gonna fit. Of course, we'll see when we get there. Before I get the seats put back together, I'm going to come in here and start prepping the insides here and get it ready for paint. That about covers it, so I will bring you back.